Well, hey there, and welcome to Unmistakably You. I'm Amy, and I'm a wedding planner and educator here in London. If you are joining us on this snowy Wednesday, thank you for coming out, and it's always great to see you. It's a bit of a blustery one here in London today, and I hope you're staying nice and warm and toasty. If you happen to have your wedding planning hat on, I welcome you as we do every Wednesday night here. We talk every Wednesday about topics that are hopefully applicable to you in your wedding planning, wherever you are. And we are more than happy to, chat about the stage that you're at in your planning and answer any questions that you have. So if you are joining us tonight, feel free to say hi in the comments and let us know where you're at, where your wedding is. We're always interested to hear the details and hear how things are going. We hope that everything is going super smoothly for you. But we know that wedding planning is a lot, and we know that it can be kind of daunting because presumably you haven't planned a wedding before, and that is where we come in. So we are here every Wednesday at 8 to kind of help you along your journey and give you some tips and tricks to help you navigate the wedding planning with grace and class and calm and sanity, hopefully. So we have well, thank you, Facebook user. I can't actually, because we're using a third-party streaming app, I can't actually see the name. Whoever said Amy rocks, thank you, Facebook user. I don't know who you are, but thanks for joining us. So feel free, if you're joining us as well, to comment and just say hi. But we are coming live to you this January with a series that is dedicated to helping you get started on your wedding planning journey on the right foot, because I can't tell you how many times I've had couples come in and they're kind of apologetic that they don't know what to do first and the things to book and how to budget and all of those things. And I always say, well, why would you? Because you haven't planned a wedding before, and we do this all the time. So like, you shouldn't know what you're doing, but we do. So, oh, hey, Rob. So, like, that's why we're here. We're here to help you to navigate things. And so if you have questions, seriously, don't hesitate. And if you have comments, if you would like us to talk about a specific topic, don't hesitate to post that as well. We are always looking for content that is relevant and helpful to our viewers. So please make sure that, you're speaking up, or message me personally, or send me an email, amy@unmistakably.you.com, because we are here to help. And here today, we are talking about booking tips for your DJ and or band. And so throughout January, we've been kind of exploring the vendors that you're going to want to book and the order that you're going to want to book them in. Generally speaking, you're going to want to make sure that you've got a solid venue first. And you're going to want to make sure that you have your photography and videography, and those would fall into the category of primary vendors. So we want to make sure that you get all of the vendors that can only do one wedding per day booked first. And if you missed those videos the last couple of weeks, you can catch those either in our archives here on Facebook, or you can hop on over to our YouTube channel and see them there. And I just want to welcome Dennis from Music Central, who just joined us. And
Oh,
how are you doing, Dennis?
I'm doing great.
Great. I'm gonna just plug in my headphones here because I sometimes get an echo when I have multiple people on. So give me a second, and hopefully the tech works and it all switches over magically. One sec.
Sounds great.
Okay. Dennis, can I hear you?
I can hear you well. Can you hear me?
Brilliant. Yeah. And hopefully we don't have an echo to the people out there in Facebook land. So, hey, Dennis, how's it going?
Great, Amy. What's new?
Good. Oh, just navigating January in wedding world, which is wedding shows for vendors and lots of newly engaged couples. And so we've been dealing with lots of incoming inquiries from people who are getting married and who are looking for some help. So that's been super exciting. How about you guys?
Super busy. As you know, I work for Music Central, so typically Rob Aitkins does all the booking for us. So I'm lucky I get to practice my craft while he's doing the sales.
Amazing, amazing. So if you are newly joining us and newly engaged, welcome. We are here, like I said, talking today about some booking tips in a series that we've been doing to help couples to book their primary vendors and get things started with regard to their wedding planning. And one of the first things that you'll probably think about is music for your wedding. So Dennis is joining us today to kind of help us chat a little bit about things from the DJ perspective. So Dennis, do you want to just tell us a little bit about you and where you come from and what you do?
Okay. So personally, I've been in the music industry as a hobby all my entire life. As you can see there, oh, wrong way. Got a piano in the background. I'm very musical, play every day. Played in bands for about 20 years. And about 5 years ago, I moved over to the wedding industry and doing a disc jockey. And I joined the Music Central Entertainment Group.
Amazing. And so you're out on a Saturday night, typically at a wedding, spinning some tunes, making sure you keep people on the dance floor and kind of creating that ambiance at a wedding.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said ambiance because that's what it's about. It's not just about the music, it's everything around the music and the whole day. It's if you just put it to a DJ just does music, then it's very limited on what you're thinking a DJ does. A DJ is basically your host, sets some mood for the whole event, and they just, interact with everybody and have a lot of fun with everyone.
Yeah, and I think that we can kind of sort of talk about generically music for your day in basically three categories. And that's what I see most couples thinking about when they're determining what their day is going to look like from an entertainment perspective. And sometimes I see couples who are thinking about doing their own music. So they're going to program a playlist, they're going to plug it in, and they're going to let it go. Second option would be to hire a professional DJ and let that person take control of the music and the sound in general, whether that's amplifying music or amplifying voices at your wedding. And then the third option would be to bring in a live band. And Dennis, it sounds like you've got experience in kind of all of those categories, probably in some way. But our goal here tonight is just to kind of briefly, because we are very aware of people's busy lives and time constraints. So we're going to just kind of quickly try and hit the pros and the cons of each of those three options and just give you a little bit of guidance if you're newly engaged in terms of how you're going to go about booking or organizing any of those three options. So first of all, the first option I mentioned was to DIY your music. And Dennis, I don't know if you've been in a situation where you've seen this happen. I have seen it work well, and I have also seen it really not work well. So, there are some pros and some cons. One of the pros is, of course, if you are on a tight budget, being able to save the money on hiring a professional band or DJ is attractive for sure. But I think, Dennis, you'd probably agree with me in saying that the music at a wedding tends to be, if it is a dance party at all, one of the things that is most memorable in creating that experience. And so,
Yeah, so I absolutely agree with you. Your entertainment, how you feel at your party is more important than anything else. It is how you walk away from it. If you had a good time or if you had a really sad time, then you'll remember it the other way, the negative way. But all three of those are good options, and there's different times when those apply. So let me talk about DIY music. So as a DJ, you think, yeah, I would never consider someone, recommending DIY. But if you have a wedding that doesn't have a dance party, that's mainly just going to be, a few cocktails and a meal and just some visiting afterwards, you could save some money at your party by renting a system and doing it that way. I don't recommend it if you're doing anything more complex than that. For instance, if you have a ceremony where you need a DJ to play, you've got to have someone to set up the equipment, make sure it all works, and someone to make sure there's no feedback, like you're mentioning before on your system. So the sound makes great, and also for greeting people as well. So if you're just doing a very simple wedding where you're off-site, has your ceremony, and then you're doing some cocktails, a nice meal, and then people are just going to have some conversations and then leave fairly early, doing it yourself is okay.
Yeah, and I think you just highlighted a couple of things that are definitely important considerations if you are considering DIY music of any kind. And the biggest one that I always get so angsty about is the sound system because I am like, I honestly believe, folks, I should have been born in, like, 1850. I swear, like, I am super old-fashioned. I am not tech savvy at all. If you've been following me for any amount of time and you've seen these lives, you've seen the disasters that ensue. Like, tech scares me. But if you are going to do your own music, you need to have a way to amplify it, which means you need to bring in a sound system, which means you need to presumably have somebody to run that sound system for you. So, like Dennis says, I think it's super valid if you are doing a simple day with, just maybe a ceremony and some cocktails. That's a great opportunity to DIY your music as long as you have somebody who's competent and capable of setting up that system and making sure that it runs smoothly for you. I have seen it go really badly when you're having a dance with DIY music, and it can go badly for a couple of reasons. One, the sound system goes down. Two, people don't like the music that you've programmed and they try to seize control. So they, take over the computer or whatever's running the sound. And then you have dead time and you have people fighting over which song to put on next. It can go really badly. I've seen it work, but only in cases where people have spent literally hours really putting together sets of music that really appeal to the people that are attending the wedding. So it's a difficult thing to do.
And yeah, I'll totally agree with you on that. If it gets more complicated than just the real simple thing, if you're starting to look at renting equipment for even your simple ceremony, you may have somebody who's already in a band that's part of your party, or someone that really has a nice, portable sound system, is professional already, and can do the DIY for those simple weddings. But when you get into a dance situation, you need somebody who can read the crowd, where they're at, be there to take requests, be there to deal with the challenges on the dance floor, because often there's challenges that you just don't want to do. And, just like at a wedding, you could cook your own meal. That is a possibility as well, right? I see your look over there. But same with the DJ, it's a job. It is something that you're hiring someone to do. So if a guest is saying they're going to do it DIY, you're giving them a job so that they need to concentrate on that job. And they're not there to celebrate with you. They're there to do a job. So you need to really evaluate that. You want somebody that has experience reading a crowd, someone that likes many genres of music. And that's another thing that many couples go into, is said that I know what me and my friends like. We all like the same music, but do you know what your grandmother likes? Do you know what the parents of 2-year-olds like? Really? And do you know when it's appropriate to play it? Because just after dinner, often I will do a 20-minute set of just really like Baby Shark and a bunch of child stuff. And you'll get the little kids come up and they will be dancing on the dance floor. And you and your wedding party are off taking pictures. That's where you're at, right? So you're not even in the room. So I'm playing for the parents, I'm playing for little kids, and they have a riot and they wear themselves out in about an hour or less. And they dance with the grandparents, they do that. Then you move into a set that caters more for the older people in the crowd. Now, being older like me, 50. Like classic rock, stuff that you would hear, light and boppy stuff, people that would sing along and things like that. And as you get to the bar, have a few drinks, get partying, and then it gets right into contemporary stuff, the real bangers, the things that you dance for hours with. But you've got to have somebody that knows all those transitions. And if you're trying to do it as a DIY, I guarantee you know your music better than I do, or any DJ knows. You know what you like better than any DJ will like. But do you know those other people's music enough that they're going to have a great time too?
And that is such an important thing to highlight, Dennis, is just this whole idea of having a professional there who's reading the room, who is noticing what the crowd is responding to and what they're not responding to. And we love working with DJs who are really responsive to what the dance floor is looking like. If there are a couple of people that leave after a certain song goes on, then a pro DJ can seamlessly switch out of that song and put on something else to bring those people back. Whereas if you've done your own music, that's an awful lot more difficult to do. So the ability to really kind of survey the crowd and to in real time switch up the strategy if what's been kind of, the thought isn't working. That's such a value to a live DJ for sure.
Cool.
I know that hiring DJs can be a little bit daunting because there are definitely lots of different options out there. Dennis, do you have any advice in terms of if a couple is just starting to investigate DJs and kind of check out the market for people that might appeal to them or companies that they might like to check out? What would you recommend that they kind of use as a criteria to determine who might be a good fit for them?
So number one, personality. So your entertainment, your DJ, and if you ask that DJ to also be your MC, the person that you and your guests will interact with most, other than your wedding planner, is likely your DJ. At least your guest will, because you want somebody that's representing you and being able to greet your guests, have a lot of fun, and learning their personality. A big thing is when you meet somebody, do they listen to you? Because the process of having a wedding is fairly well established, but the things that you want are very special to you. And that person needs to listen to your story, how you want to have your day. And then after they have a good understanding of your party and your family and what you want to do, make suggestions that could make that day go like perfect to fit your vision. So number one is that when you're meeting DJs, potential DJs, is to find out if they listen to you and are really eager to make your day your way.
And I think that's so important. I often have couples who sit down with me prior to meeting a DJ and they say, okay, so like, what do we need to give the DJ in terms of direction and how many songs should we tell them to play and not play? And I mean, you can probably speak to this better than I can, Dennis, but I am always an advocate for the professionalism of the DJ that you've hired and letting them use their discretion to read the room like we were talking about, rather than giving them a list of, like 40 must-have songs. Because if you give them 40 songs that you have to hear, you're basically tying their hands in terms of being able to play to the crowd. So what do you recommend in terms of couple requests on, their do playlist or their do not playlist?
So first thing, I would very much look for a DJ that does play requests, because there are DJs out there that don't take requests. And typically those DJs are more club focused. And the reason why they don't take requests is because they make a set that is song after song with transition after transition. And it's seamless. Like if you go to a club, they're just seamless at putting it through, but they're seamless because they are very rigid in the songs they play back and forth. So you want to look for actual wedding DJ as opposed to a club DJ. So that's one thing looking at. For requests, I love them. Absolutely love requests. Now, I don't want to have my hands tied that I have to play these 40 songs in this particular order, because that never works. It really never does. But if you give me a song list of 40 people, like 40 different songs, that's great, because I will make sure I have them on deck. So if you come up for them later and ask them specifically, I can play them right away. I've got them all organized. It also gives me a good idea of what type of genre do you like. Do you like classic rock? Do you like country? Do you like current pop? Do you like hip hop? Those type of things. So before I come to your event, I can have a good walkthrough, kind of an idea of the people that I'm going to be playing for. And then the reason why I don't want to be the lock that I have to play absolutely every one of those 40 songs in this order is because there's ebbs and flows throughout the night. And there'll be times where I want to play a banger at the, to get people on the dance floor. And there's other times that if I have them rigid to a certain list, that banger might come out after a list of 5 other bangers, which means that everyone's tired. Everyone's got to go back to the bar. They got to go to the washroom. They need a quick break. And this is reality, right? So you throw in a slow song. The slow people that want to dance will come up and dance for a couple songs. The people that really want to party will recharge, chat at the bar, and then you flip it again. So having that large list of songs to pull from is great, just as long as you don't restrict your DJ that you have to play it in this order.
And it's the same kind of principle that we talk about when we're discussing selecting a photographer with our clients. You know, photographers, presumably you hire because you like what they do artistically. And it's very much the same with a DJ, where, you know, if you give a photographer a list of 40 poses from Pinterest that you want replicated, you are essentially removing their creativity and their artistic license and their ability to go with the flow and capture what happens in the moment. And it's very much the same with DJs, where, I mean, you know your crowd, but you don't know your crowd on that day, in that moment. And the DJ is going to be able to see what happens in real time and be able to react appropriately. And so I think that that is absolutely the greatest benefit to having a professional DJ, is that they are going to be able to read that crowd and keep them on the dance floor by playing really what they want to hear at the appropriate time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I totally agree, but I'm not biased at all.
Well, I know. I mean, I would always advise a couple to hire professionals where the budget possibly allows, because it really does impact the overall experience of your guests. Now, something else that you mentioned a little bit earlier, Dennis, that I just wanted to come back and shine a little bit of a light on was, you just mentioned briefly your DJ also acting as your MC. So I kind of see things both ways, where sometimes I have couples who have a great friend who is really, you know, personable or funny or well-spoken or whatever, and they choose to have them as their MC to kind of run the evening's events and keep things flowing smoothly. But I also see a lot of times, and maybe actually increasing nowadays, where couples are asking their DJ to act as their MC. Can you speak to that a little bit, Dennis?
So first thing we have to understand is, what is an MC? Because I don't think a lot of people understand what an MC really is. The job of the MC is not to be funny, is not to necessarily be an entertainer. The job of the MC is to ensure, along with the wedding planner, that your itinerary is followed at a reasonable pace and make adjustments as things go. Because it doesn't matter, any plan you create, there'll be deviations to it, but you have to have a plan that you can deviate from, right? So that's a big thing. So, and the MC's job is to, before they announce dinner, that the kitchen is ready to serve dinner. So the MC has to go out and make sure you get a rapport going with that vendor for your dinner, to make sure that everything's ready to go before that's done. Before the first dance is announced, coordinate with the DJ if it's not the same person, coordinate with the bride and groom. The last thing you want to do is make an announcement that the first dance is about to go and the bride is off in the washroom. That'd be horrible. So you've got to make sure people are lined up. As an MC, you introduce the next VIP during your speeches. But before that, you need to talk to that VIP, get a little bit of a understanding on who they are, the way you can introduce them. It doesn't have to be long, just who they are, something kind of fun if you can. And also when you talk to them, you have to find out how nervous they are. You've got to build them up, make them go, you're going to do great. You know, people at a wedding want you to succeed in your speech, want you to do wonderful, and they're going to give you the attention. You don't have to be nervous. You just have to get up there and share from your heart. So by having a professional that come along and get all that coaching, all that organizing, that's what an MC does. If you have a friend who's very well spoken, ask them to be one of the VIPs that speak at your wedding. Give that funny speech. Let them have that time. But the MC's job is a job. It is keeping things organized, keeping things moving. If something goes off the rail, to be able to change the schedule and coordinate with everybody else to make sure it goes. And not always there's an on-site wedding planner. If there's an on-site wedding planner, the wedding planner does all the stuff in the back end to make sure everything works, and the MC does everything in the front end to make sure everything works. So both are very important to make things work and go without a hitch.
And I think you hit a lot of nails on the head there. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy working with the more professional end of MCs. I also have had a lot of really successful experiences with friends who are MCs, but that's because not to toot my own horn, but I mean, I'm there as the coordinator, making sure that all those back end things that you just mentioned, Dennis, happen, and nobody recognizes that all of these moving pieces are moving behind the scenes. So if I would definitely say, if you don't have the ability or the availability of an on-site coordinator, whether you have an on-site venue coordinator or whether you have an independent coordinator, I think that it's important to have that professional MC there to manage all of those moving pieces behind the scenes. So somebody needs to, as you say, coordinate with the kitchen and make sure the speakers are comfortable and make sure that mom's not in the bathroom before you start the speeches and those kinds of things, because that's so important in terms of everyone's experience when it comes to the more formal elements of the evening. So, I mean, plug for a coordinator on your day and plug for a professional MC. We work really well in conjunction to make sure that the formal speeches and dances and all of those elements flow really smoothly.
Now, one thing I'll mention, if the budget doesn't allow for a professional MC, take a look at, the people of your friends that you invite. Probably profession-wise, a teacher or a professional is who you want to invite to be your MC. If you just have a friend that likes to get in front of a microphone and really has got no fear and screams a lot and just the life of the party, they're not a good MC. They are not a good MC. You need to find someone who's organized and anticipates the next step that has to happen. And there again, if you want that fun guy to be part of your speeches, have them as part of your speeches as an individual speaker.
100%. And I mean, I will at some point do a whole other show on MCs, and now is not the time for that. But I have had, the uncle of the bride as an MC, and it was the driest, most boring, like literally guests were dozing in their seats kind of situation. I've also had the fun-loving, life of the party couple who were the MCs, and they were wasted before dinner started. And I mean, long story short, they demonstrated the kissing game, which involved them falling on the head table, knocking it over, and broken glass being everywhere. So, there's like, whether you go with a professional or a friend, you need to absolutely put some thought into the energy that that person is going to bring to your event, as well as the way that they're going to approach it, in terms of the fact that they are not just there to be a stand-up comedian. They are there to manage the formal elements of your wedding. So some really great points there, Dennis. So just with an eye to time, I want to just kind of briefly touch on the sort of collaboration that's possible between DJs and live bands. We've got a couple of comments about how DJs can work in conjunction with bands. I have had the opportunity to work with a lot of live bands in my career, and my husband's a professional musician, so I've seen it from all ends of things, where I've seen the behind the scenes of the musician preparing for the gig. I've seen the band at the gig being the wedding, and I've seen couples deciding whether or not to go with a DJ or a band, or which way they wanted to approach that. And I think that there are definitely pros and cons to hiring a live band. One of the pros is that the energy is great if you've chosen a band that's an appropriate fit for the style of music that they play and the demographic of your guests. You want to make sure absolutely that you're not hiring, like a band that specializes in Sinatra Rat Pack stuff if your guests are all, like top 40, current music lovers. But the energy that a live band brings can be incredible. You want to make sure, of course, that the size of the band is appropriate for your venue. You want to have a conversation about how many vocalists or horn players they have who are going to carry the melody. You want to talk about their set list and how many options they have and how flexible they are in terms of the sets that they play. Sometimes live bands aren't as flexible as DJs are in being able to really play to the crowd, because DJs have, I don't know, Dennis, how many songs do you have in your library?
You can just think of it as a Swiss Army knife, or the Swiss Army knife in music. We have, unlimited, right? When you
Yeah,
get streaming in there, it's absolutely unlimited.
right.
And the key is not the number of songs, it's the appropriateness of the songs that are chosen.
Of course. And the ability to choose those songs based on what the guests want. Whereas a live band is a little bit more focused in terms of genre because they don't have the music for every song ever written. They can't flip a switch and go from classic rock to Rat Pack to top 40 to, like Coltrane jazz. They can't do that, whereas a DJ can. So if you're selecting a live band, you definitely want to make sure that the genre of music that they specialize in is a really good fit for the demographic of your crowd. And if you can match those, I mean, I've had incredible experiences with live bands, but the reality of a live band also is that they are humans playing instruments, which is a very physical thing. So, I mean, I am a trombonist by training, although I haven't played in a long time because I just am too busy and these days I'm a trombone owner more than a trombone player. But I mean, it's a physical thing. Like your face just can't play for 8 hours. So bands have to take breaks. And at that point, a lot of bands will say, oh, we'll put on a playlist. But Dennis, I'm sure you've worked as a DJ in conjunction with bands where you take over when they take breaks. And
Much
I
more than that. So
yeah.
when you're talking bands, you're talking customization, because
Hmm.
every band has different needs. Some bands come with a full PA system, they come with their own sound guy, and then it's just a matter of a DJ. You walk in with your equipment and you plug in. But that's not the norm. Often you'll have a band that'll play for your ceremony. They'll do your special songs in your ceremony. So they want to plug into your system and have the appropriate number of microphones. So you need a DJ and a band that are flexible to work together. They need to have meetings ahead of your wedding to ensure that they're all on the same page, because they probably won't get a chance to practice together ahead of time. So they need to be able to talk and communicate and organize themselves and how they do things. Um, the traditional way is that you have a band play and a DJ fill in between. Now, one wedding I went to was at a barn, was out in the country, and his family was country and she was all Caribbean music. So
Fun.
they had a band in the drive shed, and I was in the barn. So they had the band playing in one section, and it was like being in a like a pub crawl, and the bar was in the middle. So I'd get a group of 25 people to run in and dance all Caribbean music for a while, and then they would go out and do country for a while, and then they would come back, and it was really cool. So when you're talking bands, you're talking customization, and at Music Central we can do that customization, even to the point where we can fill in as their sound guy, depending on what they need. But there again, you're talking band, there's a lot more coordination up front from your DJ and from your musicians. But if you get that coordination, it can be really a lot of fun.
Hmm. And I know I did a wedding this last May with Rob and a live band, and Rob and Greg from Music Central provided the sound system, which was incredible because the band said, "We will come and we will play the music, but we require you to provide the sound system." And I'm like, okay, I have no idea what that means. Like, I'm a musician by training, but I don't know an amp from a mixer from a microphone. Like, it is so important to have those professionals there who know what they're doing in terms of setting up your sound. Again, whether it's a DIY sound situation or whether it's a band, a professional who knows the system and who knows what to do when there's feedback or issues is so important. And so the band at this particular wedding back in May performed their set, and then Rob and Greg took over and they played a set, and it was a really great mix of, this very focused genre of music that the band was playing, and then the DJ sets were able to cater to some of those things that guests wanted to hear that that weren't in the band's repertoire. So it was a really great situation where you had this amazing energy and then also this wonderful flexibility. And so if you're thinking of hiring a live band, a lot of them will say, oh yeah, we'll throw on that playlist during the breaks, but just know that the energy of your dance will go like band, 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 playlist, 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 band, 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 band. So if you want that energy to maintain the just sort of that peak during the whole duration of your event, it's really to your benefit to have both a professional band and a DJ.
One thing I didn't mention when I talked about it is the collaboration of the lights that go with the band.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So you may have a band that just has some, spinners, or they may not even have lighting. But said with that collaboration, you can get to the point where you've got your DJs that are doing all your sound, you're doing your lighting even for the band in the background, depending on how you want to customize.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the time here and wanting to just kind of tie this up into a neat little package. I think that, ultimately we can all agree that much as it hurts my heart to say, in 10 years, not a single person is going to say, did you see the color of the ranunculus in her bouquet? Like, I'm a flower person. I love the flowers, but nobody's going to say that in 10 years. They're going to remember a couple of things. They're going to remember the food and they're going to remember the entertainment. And so it definitely behooves you to spend some time really thinking about that experience and how you're going to create it for your guests. And whether that is a DJ or a band or a combination of the two, I think that it definitely is the most influential component of the experience that your guests have. Because if you think about it, if you look at a traditional wedding day, if you do ceremony, cocktails, dinner, dance, realistically, dinner's 2 hours and the dance is 4 or 5 hours. So proportionally, people are having a much more memorable portion of their day during that dance. So, Dennis, if you had a couple of sort of parting shots to leave people with, or things to think about, or advice, give us your wisdom. What would you leave us with, Dennis?
Well, number one, you got to find a DJ. They're going to be representing you during the whole day. So find somebody you like, personality like.
Mm-hmm.
Find somebody who's organized. When you meet them, are they dressed appropriately for the meeting? Do they have, if you see their equipment, is it tidy? Is it cleaned up? And those are the main things. And then after that, do they have experience in playing weddings? Right? That's the next thing. Oh yeah, and the last one, how do they get along with other vendors? And that, ask people you've already hired. Have you heard of this DJ? What do you think of them? Are they involved in the community? So those are very important things to look for.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, that personality component is so important. And I will preach that all day when it comes to those vendors that you're going to have a lot of face time with, or that are going to have a dramatic impact on the experience of guests at your wedding. You want to make sure that you like them with a person and that you feel that they have heard you and that they understand what you want and that they get your vision. So, so important. And then the second piece of that is the feedback from other vendors who've worked with them or other couples who've worked with that company. There are so many opportunities in this digital world that we live in to get the experiences and the input of other couples who've been married or who've worked with vendors. Go on the Facebook swap and sells, ask your photographer how they feel about the DJ that you're thinking about. So ask for references. Those kinds of things are so important when it comes to someone who is so impactful on the experience of your guests at your wedding. So great advice, Dennis. Thank you so much. Where can people find you and Music Central if they want to hire a dynamite DJ company for their wedding?
Well, we're definitely on Facebook and Instagram on Music Central. We're located on, can't give you the exact address because I don't have it memorized, but we're on East London on Dundas Street. We have a location there. And yeah, we're all over the internet as well as Music Central Entertainment. So yeah, and of course, reach out to you, Amy, if anybody needs to go through.
100%. Well, Dennis, thank you so much. I very much appreciate your time tonight. Oh, 1496 Dundas. That is I was going to say next to the Value Village, but 1496 Dundas Street. So we always enjoy working with Music Central. They do an incredible job. Rob and his team are amazing. And so if you have any questions regarding the hiring of a DJ specifically, don't hesitate to reach out to them. You can, as always, ask me any questions that you have. Either post a comment on the video or reach out to me, amy@unmistakably.you.com. And just a little plug, if you are planning a wedding and you're in the early stages, we are offering some amazing workshops over at the studio by Unmistakably You. So offering some assistance with budgeting, writing personal vows that are meaningful and incredible, as well as setting up your itinerary for your day. And we've also got a really awesome first dance workshop that's going to help you be comfortable during your first dance. So if you are newly engaged and just wanting to get started on the right foot, head over to unmistakably.you.com, check out those workshops, check out Dennis and Rob and the team at Music Central, and we wish you all the best in your planning. And if you want to pop in and say hi, drop a comment, and we will be sure to get back to you. Happy planning, everybody. Take care.
Wonderful day.
Bye-bye.